My name is Edward Reed, and I've been in recovery for 34 years. I hope everyone is well and doing well through these difficult times. Even though I've been sober for 34 years, life is difficult. And I just discovered something about myself that has been bothering me for a long time, and I didn't understand it, didn't know about it. And that is anger that I carried from my mother and father from 1934 up until 2020. I've been pretending or believing that I was angry because of somebody else. Now I understand that cussing somebody or throwing a rock or just being mean and unhappy is about me. Nobody else is doing that to me. So my job is to help people understand that it's so important to start unpacking yourself and starting to understand where your discomfort is coming from. What is anger about? It's about something is bothering me. It's an alarm system. But most often, it's alarming about others rather than yourself. And so it doesn't get taken care of. I was in all those programs in penitentiaries, and I didn't know why. I thought it was about my stealing. No, it was about my ignorance. I didn't know anything about me. So now I ask people in drug programs, why are you here? What are you doing here? And it blows me away that most often there are people who don't know why they're there. They think they're there because of what the law said. That ain't what you're here for. You're here because you don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't know how to let go of the anger and shame and fear that you've got. And so you do everything you can to not remember it or to not feel it, to not think about it. But you don't think about it and you get out of here and you come right back. One of the big things that I discovered in my work about addiction is that patience can be a miracle worker, because it's important to be able to let go. And that means you need to take a deep breath. That means you need to open your hands and look at yourself. Is this the person you want to be when you're cussing out this other person? What's the point? If you're angry, that ain't about nothing but you. It looks like it was about you had a car accident, or your dog got killed, or your wife left you, or it ain't about that. It's about what you're gonna do now. The thing about the anger that you're holding on to, it's present all the time. Because until you let go of it, it ain't got no place to go. We keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and we're angry because the result isn't what we'd like it to be, but we don't know what that means. Until you start getting it that you've been doing this ever since you were 6 years old, boy, oh boy, that's shocking. Anger took me to something my parents did when I was 4, and to now look back. My aunt's house, she had a 3-story home, and she was running a laundry there. She had these women from the choir at church working in the laundry. I was the only kid there all day, every day. And they had me sing, and they paid me to sing. They kept throwing pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters and dollars and all kinds of money, sometimes as much as $10. I was happy, you know. I got this big piggy bank. My uncle gave me the piggy bank because he loved to see me save money. It's filled with money. They were short on money. One night I'm in bed and I hear my bank rattling. And I jump up and run into where I kept it, and there they are. They've opened it, and they've taken everything out of it, and I freaked out. And I got out of bed and went into the other room, and I saw them, and I said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." I started screaming, "Robbers, thieves." My mother kept pushing at me and stuff, and I said something ugly to her, and she slapped me. "What's wrong with you?" And made me go back to bed while they're stealing my money. I never forgot it. I never got it that anger took me to prison 4 times, the crazy house 8 times, and 24 drug programs. Oh yeah, not to mention the ODs, the attempts to die, running around with guns, stealing, married to crazy women. Diane divorced me. We met at UCLA and got married, divorced, you know, because I just was crazy. I started shooting dope with both hands. I bought cars. I stole money and bought cars. I bought a beautiful Cadillac. I never hated a car more in my life. And all I could think of when I came down La Brea Avenue is to drive it into the oil well and see if it will just take me away. I'm hating that car. I want to drive into the oil well. What the hell, Ed? What's this about? I thought I was getting even with my parents. And to now look back and see my mother and father's faces as they robbed my piggy bank in 1934 so he could come to California and get a job on Southern Pacific. I didn't know that was so important to them, but it made us have a life. When we got to California, we had everything we needed. And you know, they were good people. They really were. But I couldn't connect with them because of where we had been and the things we had done. My dad was a chauffeur. He was driving this Pierce Arrow, huge car. Boy, oh boy, and he loved to have me in the car with him because I knew the name of every car on the road. And he loved for me to be sitting in the chauffeur, next to the chauffeur's seat and hollering out the names of cars. Boy, I thought I was perfect. No, Ed. As soon as I got with my mother, she made me shut up. Stop hollering about cars. We're walking. Boy, oh boy. Growing up in Cleveland was really difficult. When I went to kindergarten, for some reason, my parents kept buying or renting houses in neighborhoods where there were no black people. My mother dressed me up like little Lord Fauntleroy with a bookcase on my shoulder and a suit, and I was the best little boy in the neighborhood. So I had to go up the hill to this school. Mussolini had just invaded Ethiopia, and when I got to the top of the hill, here come these Italian men, and they start beating me up. Well, it was amazing. Their wives came out and made them leave me alone, and those women started to protect me to school and back to home. In the morning, they would be there waiting for me, and in the evening, they'd be there waiting to get me home. I was spending a lot of time in my aunt's laundry with all these women, and they were talking black folks talk. Those women who protected me, I started saying, that ain't true. I also didn't act out race stuff because those women had taken such good care of me. Wow. They had protected me, did it with such kindness. And I didn't have to go through that stuff again, but it was difficult. Later on, when I got to LA, I'm in school and I'm doing pretty good in high school, and I want to join the debate society. And this counselor said, you people ain't got nothing to debate. Why don't you, I tell you what, why don't you take yourself to shoe shop? Whoa, you people. I wasn't going to put up with that kind of crap anymore. I left school. That's when I joined the Army. I had stolen my birth certificate and forged it to get in the military. And I was in the military because of my anger. And when I get to the Army, the first thing I see is a sign talking about reckless eyeballing. Don't be looking at women, nigger. Just mind your own business. Trials and difficulties are but lessons that we fail to learn, presented once again. So where we made a faulty choice before, we now can make a better one and thus escape all pain that what we chose before brought to us. When my mother died in LA, and I came to their house, and she was laying on what used to be my bed in my bedroom. And she had her wedding rings, her rings on her fingers as she's laying there. And I looked at the rings and I looked at her and I said, she don't need them. And I stole them, went and pawned them, shot dope, OD'd, almost died. Didn't recognize what I had done to myself until, a month ago? I talked about it, but it still didn't touch me the way it touched me a month ago. I hated the penitentiary, but I did well there. Mm-hmm. I became the librarian for people on death row. You know, and I still didn't get it. I still didn't get it. I watched the crime partner that I had. The police blew him away like they did Bonnie and Clyde. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I walked away and said, boy, he sure had some bad luck. I got money and it didn't help me. $20,000 in my hand and I can't do nothing with it. I don't know what to do with it. I'm on parole. I can't let everybody know that I'm rich now. So, finally figure out that I'm doing this lying, cheating, stealing because I'm angry, not because I need it, not because I can do anything, because I always had good work, good jobs, but I'm trying to keep up with them, whoever they are, and it almost took me away. In the 1940s, 50s, race was difficult, and there wasn't much acknowledgement of the difficulties of being black in America. There was some talk about it, but you couldn't turn on the radio and hear nothing about it. You couldn't hear about it without anger being a part of it. You could walk in a store and they wouldn't look at you. And you'd stand there and other customers would walk in and they'd serve them, and they wouldn't serve you until the store was empty. That kind of stuff. So there was anger. All those years I was carrying that anger, and it took me to the penitentiary and the crazy house and all that. And I didn't get that it was me. I thought I was a stupid crook. No, you just don't know what you're doing, man. I believe everybody's got it. Very few people don't have the discomfort of being themselves. What they say to themselves about themselves can be pretty mean. I used to say some ugly things about me. Like when I took them rings off my mother's fingers, I didn't care if I died. Art Pepper, he and I had shot dope in the penitentiary. We go to this guy's house to cop some weed after we go to a Stan Kenton band performance. Art Pepper comes in, takes off, he's got his coat in his arms, and he's rolling up his sleeve, and the dope dealer hands him an outfit, and he sticks it in his arm like he's, oh God, he almost ODs, but he's cool. And the guy I'm with, the guys I'm with, one of them from New York, and he said, "Man, that's what we need to do. That's the best shit in the world." And I said, "I don't want to do that." He said, "Man, if you ain't gonna do it, you can't hang with us." "Okay, man, I'll do it." And I shot dope, man, at 8th and Market in Oakland. I was getting ready to leave San Quentin for the last time. A number of situations occurred. One was the warden's wife taking a cruise and taking 3 children on the Queen Mary. I read that, and then I thought about my daughter who was growing up in the visiting room. And I said, I'm not coming back here anymore. But then, as I was thinking about that, I looked up and I see this stretcher is being wheeled across the yard, and I look and it's a friend of mine, and he's in agony. One of the people that he worked with came and told me that he drank typewriter fluid and it killed him. He and I had been talking about leaving prison and going out and making life work, and he poisoned himself and died. I think one of the sergeants had really trashed him for some reason, and he was really angry about it. And he'd been talking about it for a week. And then he went and killed himself. I was blown away. And I went, whoa, what the hell was that about? It was about fear and shame and guilt and anger and all of the negative stuff in the world. Whoa, and that's what you get to see in prison every day. You know, something as ugly as that. People stabbing each other, beating each other up, all kinds of ugly stuff. So I didn't do none of that in prison, but that anger, man, that anger, I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. And since I lost my vision, I've been working on let go. Let go, because losing my vision had me really pissed off. Oh God, every time I'd reach for something and couldn't see it, I'd just cuss it, you know. And then I asked myself one day, I heard myself, who are you cussing? What's the point here? And I got it. Oh, this is what I do every time I get scared, or every time something is going on that I've done and I don't like it, or I'm with somebody and they're not being the person I want them to be and I'm mad at them. You know, what's the anger for? What's its purpose? When I got into recovery, there was so much to read, and one of them was, it's much easier to want what you get than to get what you want, because when you want what you get, you've always got what you want, because you've always got what you get. One of the things a lot of programs did was have you write about yourself. And people would lie. And if you lie when you're writing about yourself, you never learn about yourself, because you're ashamed of your history. You're worried about what other people think, but it's what you're thinking that's got you in the mess that you're in. And I didn't understand that. I kept using and going to drug programs, and I just got mad at this last drug program. I started shooting dope on the premises, and they didn't catch me. So I did that for 3 or 4 months, and I was working every day in downtown San Francisco shooting dope. So I went to cop some dope. I had quite a bit of money, I think. Yeah, I did. And I went to cop some dope from this guy, and he didn't come back. I got up and started walking, and I didn't know which way to walk. And then I was standing on the curb, and I heard something from one of the programs say, when you don't know which way to turn, turn left. And that's what I did. And I walked down to 9th Street. There was an AA meeting there. And it was an AA meeting for all the drunks in the world. There was vomit on the floor, people smoking, there were people talking while the meeting's going on. It was awful, but I sat there and something came over me. Wow, they're talking about recovery. And I got up and caught the train to Oakland and went to a meeting. And this woman got up and took my hand and brought me down front and sat me in the second row. I didn't know what to do. And so she told me, sit there, and when it comes time, say something about yourself and why you're here. And I did. I didn't think twice about it. I just did it. And I felt like I was going to float away, because for the first time, I was there for myself. Not because somebody else told me to come there, but because I told me to go there. I was at peace. I was at peace, and I started getting sober. It changed my life. I was in that meeting and I thought, I'm going to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Because I'd been hearing that for a few years now. And I never did it. But I said I was going to do it. And I called Diane and told her what I was going to do and asked her if she'd help me. Boy, oh boy, she did. She did. She let me move in with her. There's nothing wrong with you. And that's what I'm telling people today. There's nothing wrong with you. What is going on with you is you don't know who you are. Start to work on letting go of the past that can't be changed. You can't do nothing about what they did or what you did or what was done. All you can do is live in the moment and cherish the moment, because this is all we got. And if I'm going to be pissed off every time there's a moment, I need to rethink that, because that ain't working. The only thing that's going to work for me is to be honest with myself, is to be true to myself. And that don't mean that I need a bunch of money. It means that I take care of myself with what I've got. Looking at yourself and being honest with yourself is a good reason to go get drunk, because you feel so helpless. And all of that is illusion, because we never got to look at ourselves. Go sit down and shut your mouth. How many times do I have to tell you to go to stop that? What did you do? What did I tell you to do? You make me sick. I'm going to slap you in the next week. Whoa, this is a child. To let go and live in the moment and cherish the moment. How do you do that? You can't be dirty. You can't be thievery. You can't run away from everything. You got to live and take it and be with it, because it's there to teach you, not to frighten you. Being true to yourself, being forgiving of your mistakes, because we're all trying to learn something, and life is difficult. Life is difficult, and it's never exactly what we want. It is what it is. What are you going to do with it? That's the question. And to be able to ask questions and seek answers and find ways to deal with the difficulties that you're going to be faced with. This whole health thing had me so pissed off. And I thought, well, being mad, Ed, what's the point of your anger? What are you trying to do with it? I had no idea. How do you feel about it, Ed? Oh man, it feels awful. Well, why are you holding on? That's my habit. To realize that I got a habit of being discomforted, not fitting in, not accepting what life has brought. And I don't even know what it is, because I'm so busy running, hiding, trying to change everything, trying to make other people into what I want them to be. Hey, Ed, that ain't gonna work too good, I don't think. You got to be present, attentive, aware, accepting. Boy, oh boy. The lessons, the people that have come through my life and died like dogs is terrifying. But I'm so grateful. Somebody said, what you live, you learn. What you learn, you practice. What you practice, you become. What you become has consequences. And so to move on, to let go of the drug, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, that was enormous, because I had no idea. I didn't know nothing about myself. And I'm still learning about myself, and it's blowing me away. I love it. Where do you start? How do you separate the present from the past? How do you deal with all the things you thought would last that didn't last? With bits of memory scattered here and there, I look around and don't know where to start. Which books are yours? Which tapes and dreams belong to you? And which are mine? Our lives are tangled like the branches of a vine that intertwine. So many habits that we'll have to break, and yesterdays we'll have to take apart. Where do you start? Do you allow yourself a little time to cry? Or do you close your eyes and kiss it all goodbye? I guess you try. And though I don't know where and don't know when, I'll find myself in love again. I promise there will always be a little place no one can see, a tiny part deep in my heart that stays in love with you. Where do you start? Where do you start? Where do you start?